This video will be about some teaching techniques that I have picked up that will be useful to hopefully the future teachers of the world, because we don't have as many good teachers as I'd like. The few good teachers that I did have exhibited these qualities, valuable qualities. I think will be valuable to every leader ever. This is why I make these videos. Things that will be valuable to every leader ever. You can't teach a subject without teaching a philosophy. There is no distinction between who you are and what you teach. If you don't understand this concept, you're fucked to begin with. Why? Why are you messed up if you don't understand this thing? Leadership without teaching becomes shallow control instead of real culture. I don't think people realize that when you're trying to build something, you often cannot build it alone. And by virtue of the fact that you have to do it with other people, you're necessarily going to have to teach. And oftentimes you teach without even trying. Each one teach one. Monkey say, monkey do. Monkey see, monkey do. Monkey see, monkey do. So by virtue of who you are, the way that you interact with the world, you will be teaching people on your exam. If you ignore the fact that your personality, your essence is as important as the subject that you're teaching, you are going to miss having a team that grows. You're gonna have a team instead that just repeats tasks like machines, that it doesn't have a life of its own. You're going to have an ecosystem that depends on you. When you are the most stressed and when life is the hardest, you're gonna have to go and do the bullshit that you've done always. If you don't realize this, welcome to that world. Apprenticeship. One of the most valuable things to have in life is the ability to communicate what you care about to other people in a way that they understand. Having an apprentice, such an important concept. Having many apprentices, ideally, I mean, if you're still watching this video, man, like, you're meant to be a teacher. You're meant to be a leader. So let me show you how to do that. At least some of the things that I've picked up. If you watch this video and you integrate some of the things that I'm talking about, you will be able to have the humbling experience of having your students grow faster than you do. Now, maybe, unlikely, but you can try. Creating a culture that grows when you are not in the room. Creating a place where people take your ideologies, your philosophies, and say, hey, let's try to make that happen again, because they miss it, because they want it. Because we're in a world where money matters the most to a lot of people. Have a system that you have created that actually makes you feel good about the work that you're doing, about coming to work, about transmitting your emotions, your essence to the rest of the universe. There's a spiritual aspect to this. It's really powerful to be able to take your life experience and then squeeze it out and take the juice and say, anyone that drinks this will have a slightly more XYZ life. But it comes with acknowledging that you see, I built a lot of organizations over the course of moving through different high schools in the United States. My mom was studying to become a dentist, so I had to move alongside with her. Immigrants have a hard time in the US, surprise, surprise. So in that process, I learned not only how to essentially reinvent myself, how to reintroduce myself to people my own age, but also to set new goals and expectations, and many of those ended up becoming student organizations, either creating them or starting to run them based on them already being created by a bunch of inadequate leaders from the past. Sometimes, every now and then, I heard about a leader from the past that I was like, oh, I wish I got to know this person. But very few times did I get to experience that, and often the reason that people said something about that leader is because they were an incredible teacher. They were an incredible teacher. And for those of you that want to pursue a PhD, a doctorate. Doctor in Latin, guys, means teacher. Doctor in Latin, guys, means teacher. Some of the most educated people in our society are meant to be teaching it. Whatever they've learned, we are meant to teach it. You might be thinking, I'm not a master. How could I teach if I'm not a master? The humble of you are saying that you do not deserve to teach something. My friend, you not only deserve to teach something, but you should be the one teaching something. You ever heard that thing that the best leaders are the ones that don't want to be leaders? Yeah, it comes from the humility that's required to be a good teacher, right? That if you can transmit just a little bit of what you found valuable, that perhaps you'll learn more in the process. Perhaps you'll instill some values that otherwise wouldn't even show. Perhaps you'd be able to change someone's life, change their perspective into something that will be more useful to the whole. Not just that one relationship that you have with this person, but to the entire group of people that are there. To take a little is better than to leave a lot. Wise words. What does that mean? If you know a little, it's your responsibility to convey a lot. As much as you can. At least try to pass it on. At least try to pass it on. Don't force it down someone's throat. If someone didn't ask you the time, don't tell them the time, but try to pass it on. You know something. Try to pass it on. You might be thinking to yourself, I know all this shit. That every little nugget that I drop is absolute gold. They're just too stupid to pick it up. Good. Well, there's a lot of gold in the world, and you are merely a drop in the ocean. And though your gold might be incredibly valuable to someone, if you don't have the communication skills, you cannot give that gold to that person. That person look at that little chunk of metal and think, wow, that's actually gold. It's important to be able to convey things the right way to people. You might be thinking to yourself, like a machine, that teaching is just conveying basic skills, basic techniques. The funny part is that the reason why most people are unwilling to teach is because they believe that the person that they're teaching is never going to amount to what they can do. Yeah, they're not you, dumbass. They're not supposed to be you. The point is to realize that everyone is different. Everyone has a different way of perceiving the world. You must realize this in order to be able to teach the most amount of people, hopefully some of the dumb things that you've learned in your life. And it doesn't happen through just writing down the skills and saying, okay, now you can do this thing. It comes from the little nuances, your perception, the things that you think about when you are crafting something. Those are the real things to convey to someone, because teaching a man to fish is not just about putting the rod in your hand and going into the water and waiting for the fish. It's knowing where to fish. It's knowing what time to fish, what type of bait, where to get the bait, what it feels like when it's on the line. It's why is the food important in the first place? Do you have respect for the food? It's not about the technique, it's about the philosophy. And if you think to yourself that you're not the person, that your voice doesn't matter, that someone else can teach it for you, well, then you might as well cease to exist. What's the point of you? Give your all to humanity. Try it sometime. It'll end up making your life much more interesting. So, here's some actionable steps. If I've sold you on the concept of teaching. Teach in service, not in ego, guys. Like I said, serve, serve, serve. Make it so that your philosophy is out of humility, is out of nature, is out of the thing that holds us all together, a common connection among human beings. Say to yourself that yes, thousands before me might have known this thing. Perhaps no one before me has known this thing, but it is my responsibility to try to convey it to some other person. Because if I die, the knowledge shouldn't die with me. The philosophy shouldn't die with me. Try to take the time to value that about yourself. Try to take the time to value how thoughts and philosophies transition over time periods. You are a part of that stream of life. It's been happening for long before we were here, and it will hopefully continue to happen well into, I guess, the future of humanity. If you want to become better at teaching, you got to have a cadence. Develop something that will force you to teach daily. Perhaps a video, a dumb video like this. I started these videos being like, dude, I probably have something to offer someone. I might have some sort of useful advice to give someone. Maybe if I just take the effort to put it down in a video, maybe it'll be useful to a future version of myself, to a past version of myself, someone living in a completely different time zone. I don't know, a distant reality. What is it called? A different dimension Multiverse, that's the damn stupid word. Maybe it will be a different version of myself that picks up this information and says, holy shit, that's useful. An organized way of improving, an organized way of incrementally improving yourself is the essence of growth, is the essence of actually teaching yourself. You have to be a great student to be a great teacher. That's the hard part of it. Most people are pretty shit students because we don't have the discipline, the structure to say, I will learn this time. And you have to realize, guys, that every human being is unique. Every human being has an innate value because they're infinitely different. They have years, thousands of years of lineage behind them. They have all these little experiences. They have these nuances to those life. We have a beautiful life, really. In the worst case scenarios and the best case scenarios, it is uniquely ours. And when we get a piece of information, in order for us to digest it, it needs to sometimes come to us the right way. You ever have your best friend or your parent explain something to you and you're like, what the hell, man? Screw you. And then you have some stranger explain the exact same thing to you and you're like, duh, thanks for explaining that thing to me. Well, why did that work? It's because the modality in which you got taught was the wrong way from the people that you cared about, but the stranger had a different way of approaching the subject, had a different philosophy, and that connected with you more. So as a teacher, we have to understand this, that the way that we teach things is not necessarily the way that everyone's going to understand them, but there's ways of diversifying how we teach, whether it's written, it's visual, if it's a soulful thing or if it's a logical thing, if it's an emotional thing or if it's a spiritual thing. I don't know. You got to figure out how to convey it to the person, but really that requires understanding the person. And hopefully your philosophy of teaching requires tact, the ability to understand how someone wants to be treated and then to go through and treat them that way. There's a good quote here: with an infinite variety of personalities, there should be an equal infinite variety ways to learn the same subject. There was a really wise person that I had, biochemistry, Dr. Durrell. Shout out to Dr. Durrell. Biochemistry at Temple University when I went to dental school. I went to his office and we talked about data. I was like, why are you so fascinated with research? And he's like, Turab, I realized that one data point can be approached from an infinitely different variety of ways. So I imagine a sphere around this data point. And depending on your philosophy and depending on your worldview or depending on the subject or depending on whatever, you can get to that same data point in infinite variety of ways. This is fundamental in my understanding of how beautiful the universe is and how important it is to realize that, for instance, if I traced a tangential line through this point, that one human being might start from here and one human being might start from the exact opposite point, but they can come to the same conclusion and never understand one another. It's a beautiful thing. It's a very powerful, useful thing to think about too, because it's part of the reason why life is so beautiful. It's infinitely variable. And so there's not one way to teach something properly. That's the difficulty with standardized education. The wise people before me, the ones that I've listened to, have said, you have to build self-worth in others. You have to build someone's esteem so that they may make decisions based on who they are, that are unique to them. What does that mean? Well, a really useful skill in life is the ability to take multiple different things and put it all together and create one thing out of them. To synthesize multiple realities, perspectives, environments, opportunities, experiences, and to take them all and put them together and make one thing. One actionable, useful, synthesizing things. Teach others how to take what they see in their world and bring it together into their own actionable thing. That's important, because then they can be useful anywhere. Then they can take any infinite amount of data and synthesize it into something that makes sense to them. Something that's actionable in their lives that can serve everyone else around them, hopefully, or at least themselves. A quote that I really like is, you cannot grow wise in isolation. Don't assume that you're gonna get better at teaching by reading a bunch of books. Do not assume that you're gonna get better at conveying your philosophy to other people by sitting in isolation and just writing out a book. Fine, it's useful. But if you don't have the ability to bounce your ideas off of other human beings, you are missing 90% of the point. You cannot grow wise in isolation. There needs to be a back and forth. There needs to be a feedback. There needs to be an exploration of ideas with people of your level, of your intellect. It's so important to set your definition of average and say to yourself, okay, I need to get smarter. I need to humble myself and believe that I have more to learn. I need to find people that can actually understand where I'm coming from and say, you're tripping balls. This shit doesn't make any sense. Someone that questions you, at least someone, ideally a group of people, and then create a synchronized, organized spectrum where you can just keep on going back to that same place and keep having conversations that evolve and change and morph and evolve the way that you perceive the world, because your philosophy is what you're teaching. It doesn't matter if it's a subject, it doesn't matter if it's a technique, it's your philosophy that advances this thing. It's also the reps. You gotta put in the reps. And that's the last part, is sure, you might not know shit, but you probably don't know shit because you didn't do it long enough. So do it long enough and keep doing it. And don't stop until it makes some sort of sense. And then reassess it. And then keep doing it until it makes more sense. And then teach it. And then have the conversation. And then teach it again. And then have the conversation. And then think about it. And then realize you don't know anything and do it again. Put in the reps. Now, I'm just gonna read you these quotes as the emotional close, to be honest. Being a teacher is agreeing to carry people patiently without needing them to be you. Teaching will humble you because students may surpass you. And that is the point. The world does not need more isolated intelligence. It needs more shared wisdom. Create beauty and novelty in the way you teach, because who you are is part of the lesson. The best teachers are the ones that are able to take things, something that is so ordinary, and make it extraordinary by virtue of who they are. Actualize your potential catalyst. This world needs you. And by the way, these are my own quotes. Hopefully I've taught you something. Peace.